really is for an award like that. But I have to believe that if he's been recognized at that level, then surely he must have been involved on some level. Although, you know, there's always a bit of PR that goes along with any of these types of awards.
You know, a lot more people are actually involved in all these things. Of course, those who take the credit get the limelight, and those who stay behind don't get it. I definitely agree that he raised $5 million for Mrs. Clinton, and he says that he raised $250,000 for President Clinton before the primaries in his first election campaign, and he raised $200,000 for Senator Schumer, and he got Ellis Island Award. I mean, he's into this, and yeah, he's probably a very good son of India.
I have to agree with that.
By the way, he got his start with an Indian restaurant called Bombay Palace. You all know that, of course, down
right
here on K Street.
Right here in D.C. Used to be, right?
It closed down on K Street. I guess he got into bigger, better things, you know, big hotels, big deals. So a small restaurant, I mean, he can close it down. No, not a big deal.
No doubt many of you by now have seen the trailer for My Name is Khan,
yes,
starring Shah Rukh Khan and Kajol. But did you know it is the biggest grossing movie here in the United States?
I didn't know that, no.
It is. It has had quite an opening here. In fact, during its first weekend, which was Valentine's Day weekend, they made over $2,275,000. I know that doesn't seem like a lot here when you hear bigger numbers from the American box office thrillers, but it's quite a large number, and that was just opening weekend. So, of course, you know, it's going to have a shelf life. I think that'll last for quite some time. And it broke the previous record set on December 3rd by the movie Three Idiots, starring Amir Khan, which, you know,
that's
of course...
That's a fantastic movie.
I have heard good things about both movies, and prior to that, of course, Shah Rukh Khan was also involved with Om Shanti Om, which did very well here. So he certainly has a track record. And you remember, you know, he was the one that was caught up in the New Jersey airports a while back.
And I remember he said he's not coming back. But he came back.
Well, you know, success has a way of bringing you back, I guess. But My Name is Khan has done very, very well. It is an interesting movie. Obviously, from the title, you can imagine that the subject matter is pretty serious in nature.
Yeah, basically, it is that, you know, just because I am Khan and I am Muslim, that doesn't mean I'm terrorist.
Well, I'm just happy to see that India, again, is taking a controversial topic and making a movie around it. It's a good way to get a message out. Bollywood has so much global influence now. I mean, it's really a powerful machine. So when they make movies like this, they make a statement. And I'm glad that they're not, you know, they're not skirting the tougher topics. They're actually tackling them head on.
By the way, it was very nice to see that they sent us the trailer to promote it because they felt that this should be the movie that should do crossover. Darshan, folks, as you all know, if you haven't known it, we are in every television, in every house in the metro area. Whereas if it was promoted on ZTV and the others, then subscription. And then it is more like only Indians get to see it. But we are here to promote the cross films that are really good for India. And they're doing good.
And we've been here 20 years.
Yep.
I read a neat story out of SanFranciscoGate.com about how elderly Indians are opting to go back to retire in India. You know, so many of us came here. I know my parents have been here for 30 years, and they often think about retiring, but not here. They want to go back and retire in India for some of the obvious reasons you might expect. Go back, reconnect with the nature and the land and the people where you grew up. But, you know, there are lots of economic reasons for doing so, too. In this country, caring for an elderly parent can be very, very expensive, versus in India, if you are financially well-to-do, you can often have maids and special attendants and servants come and help to take care of the elderly.
You can have a fantastic life up there just based on your Social Security income.
That's right. I mean, it doesn't go very far here, but in India, those dollars go much, much further.
That's right.
So it's no surprise then that a lot of elderly Indian Americans are investing overseas and buying up properties.
Yes.
In fact, there are new properties that are being built just for retirement communities, they call them. One of them is called Rosedale. It's right outside of Kolkata. But here is the interesting thing. Just, you know, the article talks about how, you know, the Indian viewpoint is that because children here are too busy to take care of the elderly parents. You know, they might as well go back and retire in their own country. But these communities are not exactly what you call shabby shacks. They're quite chic. In fact, they're trying to maintain a global standard, as they call it, of quality, including things like Kohler fixtures in the bathrooms, marble bathrooms, Mitsubishi air conditioners, and a certain class of comfort, because they're looking to get the NRI population to come and invest in these properties specifically. You know, it's funny how this is so much about keeping up with the Joneses. Because when you go retire in India, let's say, and your son is working in New York, you want to be able to wear your New York T-shirts and your sweatshirts, and then other parents who have kids here in the U.S. will wear their Chicago T-shirts and University of Maryland T-shirts, so that they can say to one another where their sons and daughters are in the United States.
But, you know, I want to tell you, it's difficult to go back and live there. And I know a lot of retirees are out there. They want to go back, but they're so afraid. I want to tell you there are three things they're afraid of. One is that somehow the pollution is too much, and that affects them negatively on their health. For instance, folks, did you know that for 172 hours there was dense fog in Delhi airport, no plane could land?
I know, my parents were stuck in it for 3 days on the tarmac. You know, the rule about not being able to sit on the tarmac for 5 hours or more? Didn't matter. They were there for 7, 8 hours.
So that's one thing. Number two is the freedom. You know, I mean, freedom to say anything. Up there, anybody can buy police. And that's so scary, you know. And number three, you know, if you have a problem, you find yourself going to court, well, then it's forever you go to court. So those are the 2 or 3 things. And, of course, the security and others is pretty good on these gated communities. But generally in the cities, there are plenty of people that can pick your pocket and,
it's survival.
rob you blind and all the rest, which is, of course, in every country, you know.
But like most parents these days, what they're thinking of doing is actually spending their, 3 to 4 months here, best time of the year, and then spending the rest of the time in India, the 9 or 10 months that they want to spend there. So they're not really letting go of one and replacing with the other. They're just living a dual existence, 6 months here, 6 months there, 1 season here, rest of the year there.
The one thing that you said, to reconnect back home where they came from, but where they came from
has changed.
They cannot live there, and it has changed. So consequently, if you have to live among strangers, you much rather stay here among known friends. So that is also another reason.
The one good thing about the story that I thought it made a good point of is, in India it used to be that old age homes were considered a stigma